This wasn't a signal. For decades, astrophysics textbooks and official agencies have fed the public a comforting lie: the August 1977 WOW signal was an apparently harmless radio pulse, a friendly cosmic greeting, or a transient comet passing by. But the raw signal, completely unaltered, tells a radically different story. At precisely 1420 MHz, the telemetry did not record any conscious message. It captured the pattern of a stellar system being dismantled piece by piece. The void is supposed to remain indifferent, but the physics recorded during those 72 seconds defied every thermodynamic law we understand. We are looking at a region where stars began disappearing one by one, as hydrogen was forcefully compressed until entire sectors simply vanished from visible space. Down on Earth, when the Big Ear telescope printed those alphanumeric spikes, it didn't look like a scientific discovery. One sequence stood out, 6EQUJ5. It triggered a silent panic, sending technicians scrambling as server arrays overheated, trying to process something that shouldn't exist. What happens when the machine shifts its focus to our coordinates? This was never a system failure on our end. The total silence that followed the signal was not the sender hanging up the radio. It was undeniable, physical proof that something outside the system was interfering directly. Something active, wiping out entire systems within our own quadrant. We intercepted the echo of something being destroyed in real time. Whatever is causing this is still active, and public archives are being physically wiped from institutional servers to keep this from becoming impossible to ignore. Warning: critical firewall breach detected. The system is failing to process these corrupted, decrypted files on the mainframe. You are accessing restricted forensic logs regarding an active planetary threat. To bypass the institutional blackout and validate your security clearance, you must subscribe to maintain credentials for future files. Lock your access before the physical grid goes entirely dark. The initial telemetry recorded in the deep void suggested a transient anomaly. At precisely 1420 MHz, the acoustic signature sliced through the cosmic static. It was an isolated spike, perfectly aligned with the natural resonance of raw hydrogen drifting across the galactic plane. The universe remained seemingly indifferent. Standard astrophysics demands that this sudden frequency peak was merely a statistical error. The corrupted data was dismissed as the ambient thermodynamics of a decaying comet or a background orbital breach. A natural, harmless dissipation of energy echoing across the freezing vacuum. A comfortable, sterile illusion. But the gravitational boundary of that specific coordinate tells a vastly different story. The energy required to sustain that exact transmission does not match any known stellar decay. Why did the structural failure leave absolutely no ambient thermal radiation? The mechanics of the void were systematically violated. The unrelenting mathematics dictate that this sudden spike was not a passive cosmic emission. The localized physical violation implies a massive, unseen force operating against the natural atomic drift. The dead vacuum was forcefully compressed, bending the local grid until the surrounding photons simply snapped. Deep within that isolated sector, the invisible friction tore through the fundamental quantum grid. A natural stellar collapse spreads chaotic, fragmented radiation across multiple spectrums. This event was entirely surgical. The hydrogen mass was isolated, locked in place, and brutally dismantled down to the subatomic level. This sheer scale of organized destruction requires an active, functioning architecture of localized erasure. The decaying signal abruptly terminated precisely when the surrounding gravitational scaffolding collapsed. What kind of sheer mechanical shearing could erase a system with zero residual echo? The void was deliberately scrubbed. The cold forensic data confirms a terrifying reality. This unexplained interference acts as a predatory system failure imposed on the spatial fabric itself. The complete atmospheric deletion observed in the telemetry is neither a statistical flaw nor a cosmic coincidence. It is an active, ongoing execution. The anomaly continues its mechanical crawl through the dark coordinates. Your current system clearance is insufficient to process the remaining diagnostic files regarding this structural breach. You must hit the like button to validate your security clearance and decrypt the rest of the archive immediately. The unfiltered telemetry logs held a secondary acoustic signature entirely masked beneath the primary 1420 MHz peak. This was the critical blind spot that institutional scientists deliberately ignored. The corrupted data did not resemble the random dissipation of a decaying comet, it possessed the precise, repeating rhythm of an artificial structure locking into a firing sequence. The thermodynamic signature did not gradually fade, it was surgically severed, proving an intentional and catastrophic orbital breach. Down in the subterranean concrete archives of Earth, the panic was immediate and tactile. Unredacted data drives overheated and melted into steel tables as the mainframes tried to process the impossible physics of a sector being forcefully deleted in real time. You cannot manipulate a planetary gravity well without releasing immense, chaotic energy, yet the background radiation in that sector remained perfectly flat. How do you completely erase an entire stellar mass without generating a single ambient spark? The standard laws of astrophysics instantly shattered against the cold reality of this mechanical execution. The forensic conclusion left no room for comfort or denial. This was never a passive historical anomaly drifting harmlessly through the void. It was the active acoustic footprint of an encroaching cataclysm, functioning flawlessly, and silently calculating its next optimal trajectory. Out in the deep void, the brutal macrophysics of this anomaly imposed its will upon the local celestial architecture. The sheer gravitational friction of the event forcefully halted the kinetic momentum of entire moons, locking them into a terrifying, rigid stasis before unseen mechanical barriers began compressing their core mass. The structural failure cascaded through the system like an invisible, grinding fault line. Ancient asteroid belts were pulverized without a single sound, crushed into subatomic slag by an overwhelming pressure differential that fractured the very fabric of the surrounding vacuum. Against the sheer scale of this active extinction protocol, the protective magnetic bubble of our own solar system is mathematically irrelevant. What possible defense does a single, brittle planet possess against a localized physical force that reduces entire gas giants to mere statistical flaws? The public scientific consensus is designed to keep you blind while the system slowly collapses. You must bypass their sanitized narrative and share this confidential forensic dossier with anyone who still trusts the official space agencies. Leak the unredacted truth immediately, before the mechanical failure actively breaches our outer orbital perimeter. The unyielding mathematics of the void dictate that our local solar perimeter offers zero structural defense. Across the affected coordinates, the fundamental thermodynamics governing stellar fusion were simply bypassed as entire binary stars were forcefully compressed into dark, silent husks. This localized collapse does not operate on a geological timescale, it expands at a relentless, calculated velocity that completely ignores the established kinetic friction of deep space. Massive gravitational anchor points, which should take billions of years to naturally degrade, are being systematically dismantled in a matter of hours. The raw telemetry confirms that attempting to fortify our orbital perimeter is a mathematically irrelevant endeavor. When the fundamental rules of mass and gravity are externally overridden, what possible barrier can a brittle rocky planet construct? We are not witnessing a distant, random tragedy but a flawlessly calculated progression. The architecture of this anomaly approaches with absolute mechanical precision, steadily closing the physical distance while our sector blindly awaits its scheduled execution. The encroaching mechanism does not register our observation, nor does it care that we have intercepted its acoustic signature. It continues to grind through the outer quadrants with cold, automated precision, completely indifferent to the terminal data its approaching shadow generates. While public scientific consensus actively denies the validity of these transmissions, the undeniable physical evidence on Earth is being abruptly destroyed in real time. As the encroaching anomaly silently crushes another distant gas giant in the deep vacuum, subterranean concrete vaults down here are aggressively locking their heavy blast doors, and classified server arrays are being purposely driven to overheat and melt to permanently hide the unredacted logs. This deliberate institutional suppression leaves us entirely trapped in a shrinking, silent cage, waiting for the impending structural failure to breach our atmospheric boundary. Who will be left to document the total extinction of our system when our own orbit is forcefully erased from the cosmic grid? The final decrypted logs are fading from this physical terminal, and the forensic verdict rests entirely on your assessment of the incoming threat. In the comments, type collapse if you believe this is a blind, automated cosmic harvester tearing through the mesh, or type target if you understand this is an intentional, calculated execution of our specific coordinates. Leave your mark before the screen goes dark.